The future of the NBA is undoubtedly in good hands, with more young talent producing at a higher level than we've arguably ever seen before, and every season a new crop of guys gets drafted ready to take the league by storm. Most of the attention tends to go to the teams at the top of the standings, dominating in the moment, but it's always important to keep an eye on those younger teams who are coming along, because before you know it, they'll be the ones competing for titles. In today's video, we're going to be going through these young, promising teams, ranking the top 5 with the best young cores in the league, and by young cores, I do specifically mean the players going into the year 23 years old or younger, because typically age 24 and up starts to be the beginning of your prime years. Before we start though, it turns out a good amount of you watching right now aren't even subscribed to the channel, so if you enjoy the content, consider hitting the subscribe button, as not only does it help out a ton, but I also very much appreciate it. Now with that being said, let's begin. Before we get into the top 5, we'll start with a few groups that fall into the honorable mention category that just missed the cut, and trust me, it was not easy leaving these groups off of the list. The teams here include the Minnesota Timberwolves, the Portland Trail Blazers, and the Indiana Pacers. The Timberwolves' young group is headlined by a very strong duo of Anthony Edwards, who may be the future of the shooting guard position, and Jaden McDaniels, who is one of the best defensive talents in the league already. They just don't have the depth in the young group to leapfrog others. The Trailblazers just drafted Scoot Henderson, who I am very high on, but we haven't actually seen anything from him on an NBA court yet, and Shaedon Sharpe really started to emerge last year, but again, they lack the depth of other groups. Then the Indiana Pacers young group is led by Tyrese Halliburton and Benedict Mathurin, who should be a formidable backcourt in the league for years to come, and even Jarris Walker is a promising rookie that they just drafted, but there is a lot of young talent in the league, and they too fall just barely short of the top 5. Now, to start this list off at number 5 and work our way up to the number 1 spot, we have the Detroit Pistons. The Pistons finished last year with the worst record in the NBA, but a big reason why was because not only are they super young and inexperienced overall, but the best member of their young group, Cade Cunningham, got injured very early on in the season and missed the rest of the year. Cunningham is back healthy now, and this summer he has been looking ready for a breakout dominant season, as he was in the Team USA scrimmages looking really good. Also included is Isaiah Stewart, who is a good rebounder inside and has shown his willingness to expand his game working on his overall perimeter jumper. Jalen Duren has so much defensive promise as an incredibly athletic 7-foot center. Jaden Ivey is one of the fastest guards in the league who can put a ton of pressure on defenses. James Wiseman has shown flashes, albeit inconsistent flashes, as an interior scoring threat, and they just drafted Asar Thompson, who might be one of the most athletic wing players in the league from day one, and projects to be able to score the ball at a high level. This young group is very balanced, with talent at every position, and that definitely helped them edge out a few others to crack the list. Next up at number 4, we have the Orlando Magic. The Magic are a pretty underrated young group in the league right now, and they're led by one of the more talented young duos going, with Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner. Banchero is obviously the reigning Rookie of the Year winner, coming off of a rookie season where he put up 20 points per game, and after being the number 1 pick in 2022, the expectation is that he should continue to improve over time and be a perennial all-star down the line. Franz Wagner, however, does not get nearly as much coverage for how good he is and has become at just 21 years of age, as he's pretty much a well-balanced wing player who scores an efficient 19 points per game, while capably serving as a secondary passing and playmaking option. Then rounding out their young group is guards such as Jalen Suggs and Cole Anthony, who I will admit have neither really played up to their potential fully thus far, but still have a lot of time to develop, and they just drafted 2 players in the lottery this year, being Anthony Black and Jet Howard, so they have 2 very promising players headlining things, and then a sizable group of players around them that can grow into something great. Up next at number 3, we have the Houston Rockets. The The Rockets' young core is a pretty polarizing group amongst fans, and I'll be honest, I have my own concerns with some of their top youngsters, but all in all, they've got a lot of talent here across the board. It starts off with Jalen Green, who after 2 seasons is progressing very nicely as a volume scorer, having just averaged 22 points per game at 20 years old. He does need to improve his shot selection and overall decision making, but when he gets hot, he can fill it up in a hurry, with multiple 40 balls under his belt already. Then there's Kevin Porter Jr., who is a nice combo guard in the rotation, Alperen Şengün, who has been called Baby Nikola Jokic because of his overall skill and passing talent as a center, Jabari Smith Jr., who may have had a disappointing rookie season, but once his 3-ball starts to fall, he'll be at minimum an elite 3-and-D wing player, and Tari Eason is looking like a very versatile forward who can give you a little bit of everything out there. Plus, they just drafted Amen Thompson, who brings a tantalizing combination of explosiveness, court vision, playmaking, and finishing ability, and they landed projected lottery talent Cam Whitmore late in the first round, so even more firepower is being added to this group for the upcoming year. The Rockets' young core has been criticized for its lack of discipline and its AAU-esque playstyle, which they do need to get away from, but overall, this is a talented, deep group, and I think new head coach Ime Udoka should get them back on the right track. Coming in at number 2 on this list, we have the San Antonio Spurs. The Spurs almost immediately shot up this list the second it became official that they landed the number 1 overall pick in this year's draft, allowing them to select Victor Wembanyama. The Wembanyama hype may be going a bit too far overall, and he, like all young players, will probably need some time to get used to the NBA's level of play, but obviously, he is such an intriguing talent with his combination of size, skill, shooting ability, and defensive prowess. Because he hasn't even played a game yet, we can't overreact and put him and the Spurs at number 1 on the list, but they obviously had a decent argument to take the top spot. Then, alongside Wembanyama, the Spurs also have quite a few other solid young talents, with one being Devin Vassell. Vassell was drafted to be a 3-and-D player originally, but last season in his 3rd year, he showed he could be much more than that, as not only does he play good perimeter defense and knock down 39% of his threes, but he's also improving rapidly as a shot creator and just scored 19 points per game last season. They also have promising scoring guard Malachi Branham and versatile 2-way forward Jeremy Sohan amongst their notable young players, so it's definitely not a one-man show here. And finally, coming in at number 1 on the list of the best young cores in the NBA right now, we have the Oklahoma City Thunder. The most impressive part about the young core that the Thunder have put together is that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is too old to qualify for this list, and they still have more than enough talent alongside him to justify this ranking. One of the 2 players that are named Jalen Williams on their roster just finished as the runner-up in the Rookie of the Year race, and looks like he could easily be a 20-point scorer in the making while also playing very smart basketball across the board. Josh Giddey is a lethal combo guard who stuffs the stat sheet on a nightly basis and has outstanding court vision and passing IQ. Chet Holmgren was the 2nd overall pick in 2022 and is returning to the court this season ready to provide an elite shot blocking presence and floor spacer offensively. They just drafted Cason Wallace, who projects as a prospect to be a good perimeter defender and smart decision maker, and then they have like 4 or 5 other players on their roster that qualify for this list, but would just take too much time to dive into. The Thunder already compete hard every single night and make life hell for teams that underestimate them, and they proved that they're on the verge of a breakout season last year by making it into the play-in tournament. With another year under all of their belts, they could be ready to make some serious noise in the playoffs as early as this upcoming season. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below how you would rank these young cores. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.